If you're thinking about getting into the real estate market, this video is going to show you exactly what's happening right here locally. Not what the headlines are saying is going on in Toronto and Vancouver, but what's happening right here in Brantford, Ontario. So, the biggest thing you need to know is that right now, home prices have dropped and we are back to basically late 2020 price levels. Now, the biggest question I get from people thinking about buying in this market is they want to know, is this the bottom of the prices falling? Or are they going to go down further from here? I guess the real question people are asking is now the right time to buy, or should we delay those plans and watch and wait? Well, let's take a look at exactly what's going on in the market so that you can make a smart decision. First, let's zoom into just what's been happening most recently this year. On this chart, you can see that prices have been slowly sliding down pretty much all year. We're down 10% from where we started back in January. Now, if we zoom out, you can see that this actually brings us back to approximately late 2020 pricing before the rapid run up in the pandemic market. Now, it's important to take a bigger, wider look at the home pricing chart because if we go back before the pandemic, we see that most homeowners have seen at least a 25% gain from those pre pandemic levels. So, if you bought a home prior to 2020, you're still sitting on a lot of strong equity growth that you can take into a new property. Now, if you bought a home from 2020 till today, the market's been a lot rockier. It really is the last 5 years that have been this roller coaster of uncertainty. But you can see before that, things were growing nice and steady. Now, if we look at the right side of this chart, you can see that the most recent few years have been pretty stable. Although the line's bouncing around a little bit, the market has been hovering right around the $600,000 level. You can see that the enthusiasm has tried to push that average price back up a little bit, but then caution in the marketplace pulls it back down. And we're kind of riding this line until something large changes in our economic conditions. It's important to look in the balancing forces on both the supply and demand side to figure out what's causing this. Now, one of the biggest drivers is mortgage rate affordability. The higher rates are, the higher your monthly payment is, and the less home you can qualify to buy. Conversely, if rates go down, that means your monthly payment goes down and you qualify to buy a bigger, nicer home. Now, fixed and variable mortgage rates are finally in that lower, more affordable range after they were spiked up to combat inflation. Most A plus borrowers are able to get either a fixed or a variable rate product somewhere between about 3.5% and 4% interest. The Bank of Canada recently dropped the variable rate another quarter point, citing concerns in the overall economic conditions here in Canada. Now, they did announce that they expected to be cautious in any further rate reductions because inflation is still sticking around. So, if you can read between the lines, it tells me that interest rates are near their low point for the foreseeable future, and we don't really expect them to go much lower from here. Now, looking super recently and super locally, demand actually spiked up in October after a pretty slow, quiet year. There were 127 homes sold in October, which was like a 25% increase just from September and August. So that shows some good enthusiasm that we don't always see in the fall market. Now, the flip side is we did see prices pull down also in October. So the combination of demand increasing while prices are falling tells me that buyers are hopping off the sidelines, but it's mostly buyers in the lower price brackets and also buyers who are negotiating strong discounts with motivated sellers. The biggest thing our market needs right now is an increase in buyer confidence. It's been a rocky road, and a lot of people do not want to buy when they see prices sliding down year after year. There's still a lot of uncertainty around the overall economic conditions. Until that settles down, I think we're kind of locked in this flat market right around this price point. Most people, when they're going to make a major purchase, they wait for certainty in their own psychology. And that makes total sense. But in reality, by the time the market feels safe again, usually demand has already increased and prices are back on their way up. If you decide to wait to see the market improve, you're usually a little bit too late. The best deals actually happen when buyer confidence is at its lowest and sellers have the maximum motivation knowing it's a tough market. And honestly, that's the conditions we're seeing right now, and they will probably continue throughout the winter. After 4 slower years in the real estate market, sellers are getting a little discouraged. And homes that are on the market between December and February, well, that's a huge sign of seller motivation. Sellers who are not motivated will easily allow their homes to come off the market and take a break through the winter season. But those homes that are up for sale during the winter season tell me that seller is very motivated and willing to entertain an offer. In fact, when I open up the system every day, I've seen somebody get a killer deal. I could show you examples across every price point where a home that would have been potentially 50, 100, or even $150,000 just a couple years ago is now selling for a discount because the buyers have the power. So I guess the real question is this the bottom? Will prices be higher in the spring? Or if you're thinking about buying, should you ride out and see if things go lower? Well, nobody really has a crystal ball, but we do have the ability to look back at previous trends and markets and see how those trends could apply moving forward. One thing that's almost universally true is the springtime is the highest demand period every year, typically from between about March till June, with the peak somewhere usually in May. Now, you may hear this and think, great, I want to wait till spring. What we have to realize is that increase of demand means increase in competition from other buyers. So the spring market is actually much better for sellers and not always in favor of home buyers. You can see moments here on the pricing chart where the spring market catches a little momentum and pushes prices up as enthusiastic buyers compete for the best properties on the market. Like all financial markets, the real estate market can turn very quickly as soon as there seems to be a little bit of momentum. So if you want to avoid this type of competition with other buyers, the best window to buy is when actually nobody else is out shopping. The cold winter months means you have the advantage as a buyer and hold all the cards when it comes to the negotiation. And here's the thing, if rates do go down anymore during the winter, you can expect that to bring an extra rush of people into the spring market, making it even more competitive. So here's my honest take on the market. Trying to exactly time the bottom or the top of a real estate market is completely impossible. Even the most highly paid professional analysts get it wrong. So rather than try to time the market perfectly, we look for a nice window that matches along with your goals and lifestyle. And that could be the window that's open right now. We want to make the priority finding a quality property at a good price that your family's going to be happy in for 5 or more years. And right now, the market is completely tilted in favor of the buyers picking up the deals while the sellers need to make concessions. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Of course, affordability still sucks. Prices are still higher than they used to be 5 years ago, and interest rates are higher than they used to be 5 years ago. But the reality, based on economic conditions and our pricing charts, is that prices probably aren't coming down much more, and interest rates are also probably not coming down much more. So this window right now could be the best affordability window for the near future, even though the affordability is not great. So if you've got the money saved up or you've got the equity in your existing home because you bought it before 2020, you're in a good position to be a strong buyer right now. Of course, if you're still saving up for a down payment or you're struggling to qualify, I understand it's still tough, but there are solutions available to you if we get a little creative and get you talking with the right mortgage broker. So really what I'm seeing from my clients is a huge opportunity right in front of us now in the winter market of 2025, heading into 2026 to get into the housing market or make that upgrade purchase that you've been waiting for. Now, saying that, if you do have a home to sell, it is going to be a little harder to get that home sold, and you may not get that premium price that you would have got back in 2021. But the home you're buying is a deal. So we actually need to focus our strategy on making sure you're actually able to sell your home and do it in a timely fashion so that you can make all these deals happen. Now, that's a complete another video. I've made tons of videos on how to sell your home for the highest price possible in any market. We'll link one of them up right here, but we'll save that information for another video. So if this video is making sense to you and you're curious about how the current market conditions here locally in Brantford affect your ability to make this move happen, that's where I come in. I can help take this market data and specifically analyze it for your situation, the neighborhood and price point you want to buy in, and also the neighborhood and price point you need to sell in. When we have that information together, you can have a solid plan that gives you confidence to make a move in this market. Thanks for sticking along for this video. I hope you found it informative if you're thinking about moving or maybe just curious about what's going on in the market. If you need any personal help or advice, don't hesitate to reach out. All my information is right here on the screen and in the video information below. That's my direct phone number. You can call and text me anytime, and I'll give you straight, honest answers with no sales pitch. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.